Check. 1, 2, 3.
The D. Brief. This is the D Brief.
Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's
arts and entertainment scene.
This is the D
Brief.
Hey there. How you doing? Welcome to Detroit's podcast for concerts, comedy, plays, food, drink, and more. It is Wednesday, March 6th, 2019, and I am Seth Wrestler.
And I am Becky Scarcello.
You got to mix it up every once in a while. You know,
I'm still recovering from Mardi Gras yesterday, so it might take me a minute.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Look, I am the new guy to town. I'm the guy who doesn't know how you pronounce Punchki.
Punchki? You just did it
the
first time,
right?
so you can't doubt yourself. But you need to get better at all the French street names.
Right, and now they're all going to be on sale, right? So I can go get the day-old Punchkis?
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to load up.
No, don't. No. The time has passed.
Here's what's happening on today's show. We have Tim Kiska, friend of the pod, and also the executive producer and host of the Detroit History Podcast, which is a fantastic podcast for people like me who don't know anything about Detroit history and need to learn. So we'll talk to him.
I'm going to tell you about the local chefs and restaurants that have received a semifinalist award for the James Beard Awards, which is, of course, the biggest thing you can do in the food world.
It is huge. Detroit Roller Derby is coming back. I'm excited. I've seen this before, and it is a lot of fun.
On Friday, listen in to our interview with Marianne Wilkinson. She's the new executive director there over at the Scarab Club.
And don't forget, we talk about a lot of things on this podcast. If you would like us to send you links to everything that we talk about in every episode, all you have to do is go to our website, thedebriefdetroit.com, sign up for the email list, and we will send them to you. All right, let's get into the show and meet today's guest host.
The D Brief.
All right, we are welcoming back Apropos. He's got a new album. It's called Versatility. You got to check out the video, too. The video,
it's
nice
smoking.
Job, by the way, on the video.
That's Stephanie Sean Smith and Samantha Cobb with Kinsing. It's a production company out in London. So
nice. Look at this guy going all international.
He is very worldly.
Yeah. Yes. It's for She Makes Me, and you can find it at your website.
It's a jam.
Apropos.com. Let's talk about the reason you're here, because you've got this big performance coming up Friday night.
Yep.
This is at the Empty Bowls fundraiser that's happening over at Eastern Market. What's going on? Tell us about what.
Well, thanks to them, I'm headlining as far as the music. So there's going to be 2 other performers. And then I go on at 9, and I'm going to, shut the place down, man.
Do your thing.
I'm excited. I got a lot of stuff planned. And, I'll be having 2 other musicians with me who are really close to me, my brothers. And we've been rehearsing, and we're ready, man. It's going to be a great night. It's going to be a great night. And also going to be presenting Empty Bowls with a check from my album release party that I did back in November.
Nice.
So we still haven't. We've been kind of waiting for a moment to kind of present the funds over to Bonnie. So at the end of my set, we'll get Bonnie up there, and we'll get one of those little novelty checks or whatever.
Where do you get those? The giant checks?
I don't know. I have to ask Spencer. Where do we get those, bro?
Apropos has people that take care of things.
I understand.
Yes.
Are they in London?
No, local peeps.
Spencer's local. He's my business partner. He's my right hand man. He's cool.
He's good at the promo. I think that's how I originally found out about you.
Yep.
When you go out and you perform at the live show, is it the same musicians performing with you that were performing on the album, or is it different?
Seth, sometimes I go out there by myself, man.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I'll just play the tracks. I have live tracks that the label made sure that they mixed and mastered the correct way, so that I still have background vocals. I still have different horn parts and things like that come in that make it sound live. So sometimes I'll go out there and do it by myself, and sometimes I'll have Steve and Steve with me.
So I understand that there's 2 opening acts before you. So this is a full night of entertainment. Olivia Millershin is starting out, and then a man named Hooper.
Yeah, I listened to some of Olivia's music. I'm excited to see her perform.
That's cool.
I'll be there. see that.
This is an amazing event, and I think it starts at like $50, and you get soup from 20 restaurants, all this food.
You do.
Drinks, all this entertainment. It's going to be a great night. I think 1,000+ people.
We're going to be there as well.
We will be there serving soup.
Celebrity servers.
I think we're even going to be a picture on some board or something.
I'm going to need an autograph before I leave.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes,
I'm
we
going to
can
see
do
you on
that.
Friday, but I need
I think
to.
this is
You guys
our
might be
big
too
time.
busy then.
Well, we want your autograph too, but we want it on one of those big checks.
Oh, yes, with a lot of zeros
Right.
on the end.
So let me sell some records first.
There you go. There you go.
All right, cool. Well, we're excited that you're back for day number 2. Hang out with us. We're going to have a good show.
This is the Debrief,
Want more?
your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.
Go to the debriefdetroit.com.
All right, Becky, let's talk about what's happening in the world of food and drink.
Love it. So we were talking, I think, was it yesterday's show? We were talking about competitions and awards and all that kind of thing. So if you're in the food world, nothing is bigger than the James Beard Awards. Okay, this is like the Oscars, the Grammys of restaurants and chefs.
I've always wondered why they didn't televise this as an award show. It feels like something that they
would be a
could
good
do
idea.
and frankly cash in on,
Well, true. And I know the awards are given out in Chicago in May. Like it's an event.
Right.
Yeah.
They should be televising
They should
this
televise it.
because I think that there are a lot of people outside of the food world that may not be aware of how big a deal this is, but this is a big deal.
And prestigious. Yeah. And I think it's it partly can help measure how a city's food scene is growing. So for instance, last year 7 chefs and restaurants in the Detroit area made the list. This year there's 9. So there's, that incremental growth there. So the semifinalists have been announced, and Marrow was among 29 restaurants considered the nation's best. I mean, that's pretty sweet. So they were new this year. Best Chef Great Lakes category is a James Beard Award that considers, kind of that Midwest region of a few states. So there's 5 from the Detroit area. Noberto Garita of El Barzón, Anthony Lombardo of She-Wolf, Genevieve Vang from Bangkok 96, Kate Williams, the Lady of the House, and James Regato of Mabel Gray. And some of them have been, semifinalists a number of times, like James Regato's 4 times now, I think. Outstanding Baker Award, a semifinalist, is our own Lisa Ludwinski from Sister Pie. And for outstanding service, Zingerman's Roadhouse from Ann Arbor has been recognized. And then the pastry chef, Lena Sereni at Selden Standard, this is the second time she's getting semifinalists for Rising Star Chef of the Year.
These are a lot of names that if you've been listening to this podcast, you have heard before.
And again.
We've definitely talked about a number of these on this podcast
We
before.
have, and even had some as guests. So I just wanted to give our debrief congrats to all these nominees and semifinalists. So we'll let you know when the finalists come out. So we talk a lot about, too, like when spots change over and, sometimes there are those kind of spaces that nothing ever seems to quite stick. So, we've talked about Fist of Curry going in and out of it.
that place.
Yeah, going in and out. And it was Huron Room before that. And
Over
now
in Mexican Town?
Yeah,
that's,
Southwest Detroit. And it's called the Hubbard neighborhood over there. And that's going to become Peso, a new Mexican kind of joint. So the bar next door was our Detroit vodka distillery. I don't know if you ever went there. I think it just didn't quite take off, and it really wasn't. It was owned by Absolute.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really a small batch Detroit distillery.
It
but
was just masquerading. It was just like a
little
Halloween
bit,
costume.
A little bit. So now it's going to be Bagley Central, which is billed as a punk rock cocktail lounge. So I'm not sure.
Do punk rockers drink cocktails?
That's immediately what jumped into my mind.
I would have thought like Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah. So, but then the owner bartender, Mike Kettlehut, goes on to say that he wants it to be a neighborhood bar where you can get a casual shot, a beer, much more down to earth. He's been in the business for 20 years. Most recently, he was at Green Dot Stables, and he really wants it to be a place for the people that live in the neighborhood to
I
come
like
and relax.
solid dive bars like that.
Yeah, in the neighborhood bar.
Yeah, like I actually like to go on pub crawls when I can and just go to a bunch of those, like 5 in a row, and then have somebody take me home.
An Uber or Lyft, yeah.
So.
Well, and I know Anderson Paak just announced like he's getting involved in the Save Your Neighborhood Bar type of initiative, which I think is interesting. It's just like how you want to patronize local businesses. It's where people gather. And
so if you guys were going to open a bar, what kind of bar would you open?
I mean, definitely would have to have a stage. I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
live
I
music.
definitely would just want live music there, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Me too. Definitely. No question. And maybe other types of performances too. I'd want it to be a non-pretentious place. Even though I like to go to a lot of fancy places too.
Going against type there, huh?
No, but I mean, I would like it to be comfortable where you could just come in, whatever you're wearing. It's not a place to put on airs. And
I would too.
But also have really good drinks and
Yep.
snacks. So that would be me. But so this guy is really going to emphasize the music. He wants DJs in to cover punk, glam, new wave, power pop, R&B. He said those are all his kind of go-to genres.
You got a Ramones cover in your set?
Yeah. What's that one? Something with a baseball bat.
Oh,
Was that
there you
beat
go.
on the bat?
Yeah.
Beat on the bat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
Okay, cool. We'll,
like that
we'll
one.
look for that. So, do you guys know International Women's Day is coming up?
Yeah.
Did you get me a gift?
celebrate.
Yes, I'm. What do we get you?
Just respect.
R-E. How do you spell that again?
For a whole day?
Yes, a whole day. You can even extend it into the weekend. So
I don't know if I can afford that.
Friday, March 8th. Hey, respect is free. So here's a place that's celebrating Public House in Ferndale. So I love what they're doing. So they're owned by Working Class Outlaws group that also own Imperial and Anti-Hero. So it's one of those restaurant groups that is proud to say they're actually half female owned and half of their staff is female. So their chef at Public House, also female, Jasmine Hughes, she's offering a special menu inspired by the queen of cooking, Julia Child.
Oh, yeah.
So she'll have that. And then cocktails will be featured that were created by women who had some kind of significant influence on the U.S.'s, cocktail culture. So I think that's a cool twist on it. So go.
Sweet.
And also the proceeds, I think 10% that day on March 8th, will go to Haven in Oakland County, which is a shelter for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. So I have a restaurant opening. After 3 months of being closed, the 30-year-old Italian eatery, Salvatore Scalapini, which I remember taking my kids there. It was just like a real old school, kind of almost like an Italian diner type place. So they closed their doors for 3 months. It is completely changed. It's very swanky now with tufted bar stools and just very different.
Not a punk rock cocktail bar.
No. So they did this interior renovation. There's menu updates. So look forward to trying that out.
Cool.
This is the deep. This is the deep brief. This is the deep brief.
All right, we've had Tim Kiska on the show before. He is an associate professor of journalism over at U of M Dearborn, but he is also the executive producer and host of the Detroit History podcast, which we've raved about on this show before.
Yeah.
I mean, he really, really does a nice job.
Just his research skills alone.
Yeah.
Just wow.
Unlike us who just walk in and make it up on the spot, he actually goes through the crates and the archives and cuts the audio together. And really, if you're into that type of storytelling journalism and that type of, This American Life type stuff, he does a fantastic job with the Detroit History podcast. And he's now releasing season 2, coming back for more. So I had an opportunity to sit down and talk to him. We actually sat down at Java Hut over in Ferndale. So you're going to hear all the background noise going on as I talk to him. But I got a sense of what's going to be covered, because he covers quite a bit, a wide range of stuff in each season. And the first thing he told me about is that there's going to be an episode about the 1943 riot here in Detroit.
June 20th, 21st, 1943, this town erupted into a race war. A race war. White people, African-American people, literally killing each other in the street. 34 dead, 700 injured. One day at Detroit Receiving Hospital, there were 221 African-Americans treated for beatings, stab wounds, gunshot wounds. 223 white people for the same thing. I mean, it starts on Belle Isle. It was a hot, sunny afternoon. And by the evening, there are 5,000 white people, African-American people, battling each other right near the Belle Isle Bridge. One of the guys that was involved in this runs to a place called the Forest Social Club. About 1 a.m, there's a rumor that the white people had killed an African-American lady and her baby. So the African-American people jump out of the club and start picking off white people one by one. And then the word gets out, and then pretty soon, up and down Woodward Avenue, you had white people picking off African Americans one by one, just stopping the streetcars and just dragging people off and beating them silly.
You probably didn't know about that, did you?
No, but I'm so glad racism is over.
Well,
I mean,
let's not.
yeah, no, I mean, no, because I always hear about the other riot, the 67 riot.
Sure.
You don't hear a lot about the 43 riot.
I know it.
So to have something that goes into
Brutal.
depth, yeah, it's.
I know.
So, but don't worry, not all of the episodes are that serious.
No, but I
I
think
like
that's-
stuff like that,
It's
man.
important
Yes.
to know. Yeah,
No, it is important.
And
It
the
definitely is.
deep racial, history is very important to be able to move forward.
Next thing I'm going to Google.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Detroit riots for 1943.
Well, one of the other episodes is actually going to be about the Detroit Lions, specifically the 1957 Lions.
Oh boy.
And they're significant. He tells us why.
On the 1957 Detroit Lions, the last championship team, the Lions championship team, and it was just this wild cast of characters, including a guy that some of your folks may know named Bobby Lane, who was drunk half the time, but a great football player. And it was about them winning the championship. Different world back then. There were only 12 teams in the entire NFL. The season was over 2 days before Christmas. The championship game was over by then. Not as many steroids, no free agency. So it was a different world. So we recreate that 57 team.
The best of times.
Yes. Back when we were winners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you a Lions fan?
Haven't watched too much football these past few years, but I always grew up liking the Ravens, man. You know, my
Baltimore.
family out in Baltimore.
You became a football fan at the age
diehard
of
fans.
2, then, right?
What's that?
You became a football fan at the age of 2, you know?
I guess.
You
Yeah.
were 4 when you
Yeah.
moved here.
Right, but
Yeah, but it's family. You
I
know.
spent many like summers like out there. You know what I'm saying? So
You aren't missing much.
Yeah.
So
No.
It's been a while since they've won, but that's a look back at when they were winning. Also, do you remember a few weeks ago when we had Carmen Harlan on the podcast?
Yeah.
And she talked about, before we started recording the interview, a place called the Anchor Bar.
Oh,
which
yeah.
still
She and
exists.
I were reminiscing about eating lunch there years and years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was the hangout for reporters.
Yes.
Wow.
Back in the day. And so Tim actually did an entire episode just about the Anchor Bar. And he told me a little bit about it.
It's no longer a newspaper bar. The world's changed. I detail, it was right out of a Damon Runyon book. One of its, I call him a constant, not a regular. His name is Chicky Sherman. There was a big raid on the place in 1971, and he was doing $15 million in a year doing bookmaking out of the Anchor. And I think there were 400 agents involved, busts in like 35 cities. That's how wide his network was. And in the end, everybody gets off because they had a surveillance warrant, and all of the convictions got vacated because the Attorney General, John Mitchell, was supposed to sign these surveillance warrants. Somebody would phony up his name and put it on there because he was too busy doing something else, and the judge found out about it, and everybody walks.
Those are the days.
Yes, right.
I'm so glad corruption is over, too.
I know, right? Right. It sure is.
My Detroit, you've come a long way.
History repeats itself again and again. And
If you
again.
don't, learn it, which is why
Right.
you've got to go listen.
to the podcast.
Yeah, the Detroit
yes.
History Podcast. You can find the episodes at DetroitHistoryPodcast.com or wherever you find your favorite podcast. But go check it out because they do a really nice job. They've dropped a number of the episodes already from season 2, and there's more to come. And of course, as always, if you want to hear my full conversation with Tim Kiska, because we talked about quite a bit more,
I
you
bet.
can find that conversation in our mobile app. We've got all kinds of bonus episodes
We
in
do.
there. Yeah, so
and
go-
he's the kind of guy you could learn so much from, I'm sure. So
I could talk to him for hours.
Yeah, days.
Yeah, he's entertaining.
The Brief.
All right, Becky, let's take a moment to talk about Michigan Podcast Productions. This is something that you and I started because we've been doing this podcast, and so many people have said to us,
We want to start a podcast, but we don't know how. Can you help give us some advice?
it does feel like everybody's starting a podcast.
Well, yeah. And a lot of people, people like to talk. They like to tell stories. They like to connect with whoever they want to reach.
And if Ron Burgundy can do it, you can do it.
Exactly.
Right. So
Yeah.
Here's the deal. We launched Michigan Podcast Productions. The whole concept is we want to help Detroit arts and entertainment organizations get their own podcasts off the ground. If you go over there, you'll find, we've already started blogging. I've started, writing advice because I've been podcasting for 8 years now.
You have a wealth of information.
I
Good to
like
share.
to share it.
Yeah.
So if it's something you've been thinking about, but you're haven't been willing to pull the trigger yet, now's the time. Go to MichiganPodcastProductions.com and see what it's all about.
This is the deep breathe.
All right, Becky, let's talk about some of the things that are happening on stages around town. Hey, apropos, have you ever seen one of these Detroit Derby Girl matches that happen over
Man, I have. They get down.
Right?
They
Dirty,
get
yeah.
down, and it was very unexpected. You know, it's one of those things you see on TV, and you're like, oh, guess it looks cool. See a commercial or seen in a movie or something. Seeing it live is crazy, man. Like they
It's
just
amazing.
There's
wreck
blood,
each other.
blood flying.
They wreck each other. It's
I don't
crazy.
even know the rules. I haven't got the slightest idea what the rules are. I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters.
No,
Yeah, that's not really
It
the
does
point.
to them, obviously,
Sure.
but you don't need to know as a spectator.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's in the Masonic Temple that they do this.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Any reason to go there is pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Saturday, there's going to be another game. The roller derby doubleheader is happening at the Masonic Temple. This is season 14, game 5, for those of you who are keeping track. The first bout will feature the Detroit men's roller derby versus the Cleveland Guardians men's roller derby. And then the second bout is going to feature the home team championship game with Devil's Night Dames and the Detroit Pissed-Offs.
So this is probably to celebrate International Women's Day as well.
Oh, of course. I'm
Yes.
sure. Everything is,
Yes.
isn't it? If it's not celebrating 313 Day, then it's celebrating International Women's
It's
Day.
a big week. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Let me ask you this. Have you guys, is there ever like a movie on your list of things that you should watch because it's a classic, but you haven't gotten around to it? Every time you
Yes.
see it in Netflix or whatever, you're like,
I'm just not in the mood right now.
So what's that movie for you?
Well, any of those older ones. Like I do like some old, I love Hitchcock movies and I like some, but like Lawrence of Arabia, like those big sweeping
Yeah.
epic films that
Take 3 hours to
yeah,
watch.
yeah. Bridges of Madison County would be like a more recent one. I don't. I don't.
What about you, Apropos?
Definitely, it's my guitarist and good friend of mine, Dances with Wolves. I just remember this one night, he just would not stop talking about it. Like, bro, you got to see Dances with Wolves. You haven't seen it? You haven't seen Dances with Wolves? So I guess that's on my list.
Yeah,
You know
gotta
what is
see it.
that?
Yeah.
What is that with people too? Like you say, no, I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I no.
Right. I'm that way with The Wire. If you haven't seen the
man.
television show, but
That's-
yes. I'm
How have
like,
you not seen it?
That's one of my.
Because they
That's
haven't
that might
See?
be my favorite show.
Right, right.
television.
How have you not seen it?
Oh,
Come on.
God.
Yeah, Baltimore, man.
Right,
Come on.
there you go.
Bro, I kid you not. Real quick, I kid you not. My cousin, Elena, she literally showed me the building. She lives not too far. Season 5 when Omar jumped out of the building.
No way.
I saw the actual building where he jumped out. It was crazy.
That's
Wow.
neat.
crazy.
That's neat.
So that was based on a book by a journalist who rode around
do.
with the Baltimore police
Yes.
for years.
Yes.
There, and he did another show before that called Homicide.
Yep.
Right.
Life
there's-
on the Streets.
Yes. There you
Yeah,
go.
man. I
Great
remember
with
that.
Andre Brower. Yes.
That I saw.
Oh, man.
Okay.
So there's this story because I used to live in Providence. We're totally getting off. on
I
a
know.
tangent.
Can you
Yeah, I
guys
know.
start your own podcast about this?
There's this story about like a mayor's convention.
Yeah.
And I was living in Providence, Rhode Island at the time. And this was when there was a television show called Providence. And the
Okay.
story went that the mayor of Providence met the mayor of Baltimore.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh.
said to him, the mayor of Baltimore said, congratulations, you have a show that's set in your town. He said, we have a show that's set in our town as well. It's called Homicide.
Wow. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
That was
that's
a good show.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
Anyway, I bring it up because there's a play that I feel like is on my list of things that I need to go watch. I studied it as a kid in school, but I've never actually seen it performed. And it's happening right now at the Ringwald in Ferndale. That is Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is a classic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yes, it's about Willie Loman and how his family disintegrates, and the reviews have been absolutely amazing. And this is the last weekend to go check it out before it closes over at the Ringwald. So it's one of those things where if you haven't pulled the trigger yet, this
You
is the
should go.
time to go check it out. Another question for you guys: if you could be the child of any Greek god, who would it be?
Who's
You can't say me.
darn? All right, now I gotta think somewhere. No, who's Aphrodite's daddy? So whoever that is.
I studied. I loved this stuff when I was a kid.
Me too. I
and
could have recited them
I
all. The
can't
Roman,
remember.
the
I saw
Greek.
Hercules once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In person, was he nice? Did he sign an autograph for you?
No, that's the
seems
closest thing I've seen to Greek. Without,
I don't know.
Well, Percy Jackson is the son of Poseidon, at least in The Lightning Thief, which is the big popular play
yes.
that is wrapping up at the Fisher Theater. So that's another one that this is your last chance to go see it.
I've heard that's good. A friend of mine didn't know what to expect at all and was like, oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah, I've heard that too. So Percy goes on an epic quest to find Zeus's lightning bolt to prevent a war between the gods. Other things going on around town. Saturday, the 9th, you've got Dr. Erica Armstrong Dunbar. She's going to speak about her book, which is about George Washington and his runaway slave. That's happening at the Charles Wright Museum. On Sunday, the 10th, you've got comedian Amanda Seales, who's going to be at Soundboard. Oh. Yeah? Have you seen her just on television?
Yeah, she also used to be in a TV show back in the day when I was a youngster called My Brother and Me.
Well, she's going to be on a new TV show as well. She's going to be the host of NBC's comedy competition called Bring the Funny.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, the judges are going to be Kenan Thompson, Chrissy Teigen, and Jeff Foxworthy. So that's some celebrity power right there.
Sure.
So you can go see her live at the Soundboard. And then Preacher Lawson. I don't know if you guys watch America's Got Talent. I am strangely addicted to that show. Speaking of things that you can watch with the grandkids, that's another one of those things.
Oh, sure. That's a family-friendly show.
Yeah, you guys want to watch Talent Show? That's what we call it.
Talent show.
Preacher Lawson, who was a finalist on the 12th season of America's Got Talent, he's going to be at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle.
I have something for this. So you said something about being in competition. I did play Diana Ross in a talent show for my 8th grade. Me and my girlfriends were the Supremes. And we, I think, got one of the top prizes, if I recall correctly.
If a photo of this shows up in your college
I have a
yearbook.
Photo. We did not put blackface. Give me a break.
Making
no.
sure.
Inspired by the Supremes.
That's funny.
You got to check.
Action. This is the Deep Brief.
All right, Becky, anything catch your eye in the news this week?
Yeah, so I love people that break barriers in whatever their field is in. And I also like being able to follow up on stories we've highlighted before. So if you recall, one of my favorite stories after the Super Bowl was having to do with one of the commercials that featured a local, Toni Harris. She was in that Toyota commercial that showed her whole working out and, playing football.
Yeah.
And basically being the first young woman to do so at Redford Union. So she has signed with the football team at Central Methodist University in Fayette, Missouri. She had 5 other offers.
Wow.
Yeah.
5 offers?
Right.
Wow.
And so she chose this one. She's the first female skill position player. What I mean by that is they might have had a kicker or a specialty player before.
Poor kickers everywhere.
We use them as an example. But this is like full on to sign a letter of intent to play college football on a scholarship. First female to do so.
That's impressive. Mm-hmm. So the question is, of course, when are we going to have the first female? And could she be the one to
that's
play
her
in
goal.
the NFL?
That's definitely her goal. And what I thought was really cool is she says she believes wholeheartedly she will be the first female to play in the NFL. But here's her quote. If it just so happens that I'm not, I want to make sure there's a way paved for the next little girl that can get there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you guys. Which do you think is going to happen first? Female president or female playing in the NFL?
My vote is president.
Yeah. No, I love...
We've been close.
Yeah.
I love Toni Harris and what she's doing, and I believe in her too, but I feel like it will be female president.
What's the earliest she could play in the NFL?
Well,
could she play before 2020?
I think she's been playing for a community college for a while, but yeah, probably a few years, right?
Right.
3 or 4 years.
We'd have to do the math. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to check that out. I don't know. I think it could be. I think we could have a race.
Right. It could be close. Let's hope it happens in the same year.
Maybe it will. That'd be impressive.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
This is the Deep
Detroit.
This is the Deep Brief.
All right, apropos, there it is, another show. You're good at this. You got a second career in podcasting.
Well, yeah.
You guys will have me back one day.
Definitely.
Love it.
All right, look, here's the deal. If you missed any of the things that we talked about in today's show, or you just want us to email you the links, save you a lot of work, go to our website, thedebriefdetroit.com, and while you're there, sign up for the email list. We will send you an email each week with everything that we talk about.
You can also just text the word Detroit from your mobile phone to 444-999.
That works as well.
Yep.
Apropos, one thing before you get out of here, we're going to play a little game. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
I like the music. It's nice and ominous.
Everybody
It
gets
is.
that look on their face like, oh,
Yeah,
boy.
what did I get myself into?
I know. I thought these debrief people were fun, but whatever.
We're going to ask you for a series of rapid-fire recommendations.
Okay.
Just tell us the first thing that comes into your mind. Are you ready?
Let's go.
What is your favorite outdoor festival and why?
Rothbury, 2008. It was the first time I ever been to any music festival. I had a blast.
Nice.
How about a place to see a concert?
I like the Fillmore. I
Yeah.
really do. Yep.
Do you have a favorite song by a Detroit artist?
I do. Let's Get It On, Marvin Gaye.
Ooh,
Oh, that's a
good
good
choice.
one.
That first 5 seconds of the song, man,
Oh,
amazing.
No lying. Have you ever gotten it on to Let's Get It On?
This is a clean show, so
All
we
right.
won't even get the mental picture in people's minds
You can
of me
just
doing
say
my
it's
thing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, here's my prediction. Here's my prediction that years from now, when we ask, "What's your favorite modern Motown song?" people would say, "Maybe" by Apropos.
I hope. I really do. I
Go
hope and
listen,
pray.
folks.
That is modern Motown.
Yes.
It is. What else you got for me? What else you got for me, Seth?
What's your favorite place for late night food? Where do you go after a show, after a performance when you're...
Either Green Dot Stables or Lafayette. I like Lafayette.
Good choices.
I like
good
Lafayette.
choice. Where in Detroit would you go if it was the last day before you knew you were going to die?
Motown Museum.
Speaking of history.
Stand in the same place Michael Jackson stood.
No.
Then I'd stand in the same place James Jamerson stood. It's a lot of history there. Just a lot of great music history. I mean, I remember the first time I went there, I was probably like 12 or 13. And just to be in like the studio, I think it was called Studio B downstairs.
Yes,
And just
yes.
like, just to be in that room, like there's still some energy in there like left over from these legends. And I just remember that feeling of being in that studio and being like, wow, like I can feel the energy of just, you know, legendary music that was made in this studio. So yeah, that would be the place.
All right. Excellent choices. You win. Tell him what he's won, intern Damon.
Yeah, what I win, man. Well, no, he gave me a really refreshing cold can of
That's
Coca-Cola.
right.
Yes.
Cold can of
So
Coca-Cola.
I don't mean to plug Coca-Cola right now.
We don't
but-
have Faygo around here. You got
we got to up
look
our
bad.
game. Yes, we do.
All right. Apropos, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Again, I had
Once
a blast.
again, you're going to be performing Friday night, Shed 5 of Eastern Market. This is for the big Empty Bowls fundraiser. Come on out. Check it out. We're going to be there as well. We're
Yes.
celebrity servers.
There's so many reasons
Can't
to go
wait.
to this event.
I have my ladle ready. Do you?
I do. And my apron.
I'm polishing it.
Yes,
I'm getting
yes.
all ready. I have an apron. Mine says Guinness on it. I got to get a Faygo apron. Do they make those?
They probably do. Yeah.
we'll have to
If
make that
not, we'll
happen.
start a debrief line with collab.
Apropos, if people want to check out your music, where do they go? How do they follow you on social media?
Please go to my website called veryapropos.com, veryapropos.com, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at apropos music, apropos music.
Awesome. Well,
And
thank
go listen to the album, Versatility.
Yes.
Yeah,
Such a
streaming
jam.
everywhere now.
you. Spotify,
iTunes.
right.
iTunes.
Title,
Yep.
Versatility, check it out. And shout out to, if you're listening, Elton John.
Oh, yeah.
Who is a really big fan of my album, which I can't wait to talk more. We've been talking like his team. They're really busy, I guess.
Wait a minute.
He's got
Stop.
like a farewell tour.
How do you know that?
Well, he shouted me out. He played Talk Like That on his radio station in January and like shouted me out, introed me and everything. It was crazy.
That's
It's
awesome.
the craziest time of my life. But yeah, so he's doing that farewell tour. So he's not really able to communicate and he hasn't been doing his Beats One show that much. So once he's done with that, I think we're gonna.
I'm sure he still listens to
gonna
the
holler at him.
podcast every week. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, right.
We'll make it happen.
We're shouting him out right now. Yep.
Until then, Detroit's moving.
Keep up.
The D Brave.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.